Hey, welcome back to Sweet to the Soul. My name's Demi, aka The Crowned One, and today we're going to be talking about boundaries. So if you watched my last video, you'll know that I said that boundaries is one of my go-to topics because I had to learn the hard way. I had to go through some things, and I'm going to share that with you today. A few years ago, I was friends with this person and we had banter, we got on, but a lot of the time this person would make like critical comments and just make jabs and digs at me. And you know, it wasn't like it was a one-to-one like thing. She wouldn't pull me to the side or like when we're alone. It would be in front of other people, which really kind of got to me. I would brush it off. I wouldn't deal with it. I wouldn't pull her up on it. I would laugh it off. I would pretend it wasn't a big deal. And then I was basically suppressing it. So comment after comment, year after year, I would feel the jabs, I'd feel the comments, and then I'd go home, I'd rant about it, I'd get upset about it, but I wouldn't actually deal with it with the person. I won't confront her. Anyway, quick aside by the way, suppressing things is not wise because you always have a day where everything comes out, and that day is not a pretty, God, it's actually not a pretty sight. So this video is so that you can avoid all of that and, you know, set boundaries and avoid that from the beginning basically. So a fateful day came where I just couldn't deal with it anymore, and a comment was made basically about my skin and skin issues in the past. It was a very sensitive topic for me, and it kind of still is. So when I heard that just tripped something in my mind, and I kind of went crazy. Yeah, I was about to fight this person. I was gonna lunge, like it was a situation. My tiny friend had to physically hold me back, and I can smile about it now, but actually it wasn't funny because it was just not becoming of like a lady or a Christian. Like I was literally about to fight this person. And I think what people didn't realize at the time, and what myself I didn't realize, was I wasn't reacting to that comment, because actually the reaction and the comment, they weren't matched at all. It was a gross overreaction. But I wasn't reacting to the isolated comment. I was reacting to everything that I had stacked up, everything that I had suppressed, pushed down, and it all came out. And like I said, it wasn't a pretty sight. So when it comes to life situations, this is another aside. Sorry, I like asides, just quick. When it comes to life situations, I hope that we do something, which is to review our part that we play. So especially in like negative situations, issues that we've had, there needs to come a time where you sit down and you ask yourself, Demi, whatever your name is, Toby, Sarah, Louise, Maiwa, what did I do that contributed to this situation? Because it's all well and good for us to be like, well, she said, he did, they said, they were, but we don't look at ourselves, we don't introspect. Is that a word? Yeah, it is. Introspect. It is, I think. So we need to look inward and think. So anyway, I did that. This was years on, by the way. I'm not saying that 2 days after you have a fisticuffs, you should be sitting down, writing down what I did wrong. Like, no one does that. This was after months and years of forgiveness, going back to that person, hashing it out, praying, all of that. And I decided that the person that was at fault was me. It was absolutely me. I went back to the beginning, I traced it all the way back, and I thought to myself, when the first comment came that I didn't like, that didn't sit well with me, what did I do? I laughed it off. I didn't deal with it. I didn't confront her. And so obviously she's gonna do it again, because there was no boundary. There was no clear-cut line where it's like, sorry, that's not acceptable for me. And so you can't allow people to treat you a certain way, and then one day just rise up and I'm angry. Why are you angry? Because you've never explained, you've never laid down any kind of law with how people should treat you, and now all of a sudden you want to start shouting at me. That's not gonna fly. And I think what I did to her was unfair, because really I should have explained from the beginning, actually, I don't like it when you do X, Y, Z. I believe a boundary, obviously, we know, like, it's a line. So this is what you can accept. This is what you can't, let me show the line better. This is what you can accept, this is what you can't accept, and this is the line. And you can't cross that line, do you know what I mean? So the first thing we want to do is identify our boundaries. I believe that there's a universal boundary for most people, which is don't talk about my mum. Most people are just like, don't talk about my mother. That's one. Some other people, their boundary is don't touch my stuff. You don't touch my headphones, don't touch my speaker, Don't be going through my stuff without asking anyway. Like, just ask first. For me, one of my boundaries is, because I'm the oldest, I'm very protective. I'm just a protective person. Like, you're my friend, my family. I can cut somebody. I can cut somebody. So yeah, don't come to me bad mouthing my siblings, my parents, my church, like that kind of stuff. That's my boundary. Obviously, talk about it with whoever you want. Like, hold a meeting, discuss it till you're blue in the face, but don't come to me with that. So that's my boundary. So what you need to do is identify yours, and don't think that any boundary is too big or too small. It's very subjective. Just because A's boundary is this, it doesn't mean you can't have that boundary. You decide what is good for your own soul. You decide that actually that affects me and I can't handle that and that upsets me, and that's absolutely fine. The second thing we need to do is establish. It's all well and good knowing that this is my boundary, but you need to communicate that so that what happened to me doesn't happen to you and you're not lunging. Because we can't be lunging at people, do you understand? So establish. How do we do that? Let's take that example that I used. If I don't like people putting me down in front of other people, I need to tell the person. Let's say Sarah does it, and I go up to Sarah from today, because we're drawing a line, okay? You might be a person without boundaries, but today I'm hoping that we can, move forward and put some boundaries in place. So let's say today, Sarah comes to me and she says, and there's a group of people and she puts me down. I'll pull Sarah to the side and I say, Sarah, I don't like it when you put me down in front of other people. It makes me feel demeaned. It makes me feel small, and actually it hurts me and it embarrasses me. I'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. If you have a problem with me, please feel free to speak to me, away from people, and we can talk it out. Something like that. I've established my boundary. Number one. If that's Monday, let's say Sarah does it again on Wednesday. I'd call her again. I say, Sarah, I spoke to you on Monday and I said, and I repeat it, you've done it again, essentially, and I would rather if you blah, 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 blah. The third time Sarah does it, now we have a problem because nobody has time. I said nobody has what? Time to be repeating themselves. This is not a game, this is not a joke. I've told you once, I've told you twice. So at this point, we're gonna have to, actually I'm moving into my third point. So actually, we've talked about establishing, right? We've established it, 1, 2. Let's move on to enforcing. We're gonna enforce this boundary because obviously they're not listening. On the third time, and by the way, it doesn't have to be third time, you can extend it. I would not suggest saying it 10 million times, like, no. But it doesn't have to be the third time, but you just decide, well, actually, this person is not listening, and this is where we need to enforce it. And you need to tell the person that, I've spoken to you about not doing X, Y, Z, and you keep doing X, Y, Z. And what's gonna happen is, I'm not gonna be able to be close with you like we've been so far. I'm not gonna be able to confide in you. We may not be like close friends. You have to just give them, not an ultimatum, but there needs to be a consequence for their action. Because what human beings, we like to try people, and so someone can be pushing a boundary, and if you don't enforce it, it's on the floor, it's broken, there's no boundary anymore. So the whole point of a boundary is that it stays firm. Whether you do it today, tomorrow, the next day, this is my boundary, I'm maintaining this line, and then you're gonna need to fall in line. And if you don't want to, then I'm gonna withdraw. So you enforce it and let there be a consequence. Let's say you start drawing back a bit. You used to call, you used to text, you used to hang out. Start focusing your attention, your love, your time, your energy on people who do respect you, because what it comes down to is a lack of respect. What it comes down to is they don't value you enough to treat you how you desire to be treated. Because everybody, receives love. I'll probably talk about that another day, love languages, but everybody receives love in a certain way. And if you're flagrantly disregarding that, you don't really love me, to be honest, as a friend or otherwise. So let it be known that it's not going to work for you and there are going to be consequences for their actions. I'm going to stop there. I hope you've been able to get something from this. Let's do a recap. What we need to do is identify what is my boundary. The second thing we need to do is establish it. So that's letting the person know, or letting people know in general. And the last thing to do is enforce it so that it stands the test of time. That's me. Thank you for watching, and you will see me in the next video. Oh, sorry, quick one. Also, again, not by force to subscribe, but if you want to, please feel free.